אני בתהליך, זה קפץ לי. Some interesting people from all over, interested people, and a good mix of everything.
Fantastic. And I see that JC also joined us now.
Yes, I think I saw.
Hi, JC. How are
Hello,
you?
JC.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure and honor. Happy to be part of it, the call.
When I will have to present you, you will say your name because I will ruin it completely. So just to be on the safe side.
So I see that we have most of our speakers. Nora, the ambassador, Ronen is with us. Hallel, JC, Dana. Only Ron is there.
We can start. Ron Eifer will join us.
Okay. So let's start, and let me say that I'm very excited right now because of many things. First of all, for our new friendship with Seed Israel that emerged very quickly, started with wonderful people doing wonderful things. And I know it's only the beginning of a new great friendship. So thank you very, very much for all you have done for us. We really appreciate it. I'm very excited to see all the speakers. Everyone, each of them I've been speaking to for a while this week, and each talk was ended by me feeling that it was too short and I need much more, and I know that we would like to see all of you with us and have more chance to speak. Today it will be very, very brief. It's just a taste of things. I'm very excited to see our students, our faculties, and other. And this is a great opportunity that Ram said that sometimes dream come true for us. The staff dream come true with this beginning of the program. So we have no time. We're going to be very short, and I'm only going to say one sentence about this program. Our dream is to teach and train the new great leaders for making change in developing countries. We believe that if we put together multidisciplinary knowledge of students and faculties with critical thinking, combining theory, skills training, and application, together we can change the world. So we believe we can change it, and we ask all of you to help a change and make really important change in our world. And without stopping, I would like to ask Alon, the director of Seed Israel, to please say some words about our new joint event together.
So thank you, Professor Ronen, and thank you all for joining us. I see some familiar faces, but I also see some that I didn't know before. So I will just say briefly that we are an umbrella organization with 150 members who are coming from different sectors, civil society, the private sector, the government, and the academia. And our goal is to encourage Israeli involvement in low and mid-income countries. And part of our philosophy is that in order to make a change, you should create a dialogue and cooperation between all relevant sectors. And the fact that today you will hear from people who are working in the government, from people who are dealing with the diplomatic aspects of development and with the economical aspects, with people like Hallel, who is an Israeli who works in one of the financial institutes in the IDB, and is actually representing himself, but also as an Israeli in such an important institute. And the fact that JC will tell you a bit about the way things are happening on the ground in cooperation between Israel and the Jewish world, it will give, in a way, a picture or an idea about all different channels and angles that are relevant to international development. We, as an organization, are trying to promote, from one hand, a change in the Israeli policy throughout the developing world. We've succeeded 2 years ago to help for a new governmental resolution that passed and basically identified the need in an international, in a strategy, an Israeli strategy for the developing world. And in parallel to that, we are trying to keep on working with different partners and to give practical tools for companies, organizations who are interested or are active in the developing world, and also to create activities that are helping to raise the awareness in the Israeli public for this field, because we believe that any change should come also through the public and through the public opinion that will help us to convince the decision makers about the importance of this field and also about the great potential that this field have to the Israeli economy and to the Israeli diplomacy, and also to the moral aspects of doing good in the world. So this is all from me, and you are all invited to join us in Facebook and to be involved in what we are doing here and in other places. And as Tami said, this is only the beginning, I hope.
So thank you, Alon. We have a song in Hebrew, Ani ve'ata neshana et ha'olam. You and me will change the world, but it's you and me. None of us can do it together. All the staff that are here really interested in changing the world. And together with all our partnership all over, we believe we can do it. So I'm warning you that we have very short time. Each of the participants will only be able to speak few minutes and tell us about this partnership and ability. I'm very sorry that the ambassador of Tanzania, who is a very nice person and we had a wonderful talk, cannot join us because he's mourning the death of the third president of Tanzania. So we do send condolences from here, and we will see him another time. And I would like to ask Mr. Ronen Gilor, the ambassador of the State of Israel to the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, to tell us few things about what do you in Myanmar think or wish us as Israeli to do, help, and create change.
Thank you, Professor Ronen, and thank you, Alon Bar and Dana, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me to this special Zoom to discuss this very interesting program in Tel Aviv University. It's my alma mater, Tel Aviv University. Let me tell you that Myanmar is a country that the people in Israel don't know too much about because it was very closed for the last 50 years until 10 years ago. If you ask people in Israel what is Burma, so they know about Burma. We have also Burma Road in Israel, but they don't know about Myanmar. What is Myanmar? You can ask them. Some are going to say that they know something about Myanmar, but not too much. Some might even say Myanmar is in Africa. No, Myanmar is in Southeast Asia, and it is a country, a very important country in the geography of Southeast Asia because it's between China and India, and it has a long border also with Thailand and Bangladesh. But although that we don't know Myanmar, and Myanmar, of course, is a developed country after the 50 years of dictatorship of the military, Myanmar and Israel have a long history together, because in the 50s, 60s, Burma and Israel that were established together in 1948 were great friends. When we didn't have a relationship with India, either with China, we had Myanmar. So Myanmar was a diplomatic hub. And actually, Mashav, and some of you know what is Mashav. Mashav is the International Cooperation Center of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was established in Myanmar by Golda Meir. After the visit of Ben-Gurion here in 1961, Golda Meir was here, other ministers came here, also Minister of Moshe Dayan for the security, defense. So they established here Mashav. And then Mashav, from here, it went also to Africa, but it all started here. But then Myanmar became less important for the Mashav and development because it became to be closed. And everybody knows what Mashav did in South America and in Africa. And in the last 2 decades, Mashav came back to Southeast Asia and now to Myanmar. Now, since the opening of Myanmar, you have here, I would like to say, a jungle of development efforts. Really a jungle. Why a jungle? Because in Myanmar, everybody wanted very much to come here in 2012 after a Barack Obama visit and Hillary Clinton and the lifting of the sanctions of the international community. And they came here in hundreds. So we have here now hundreds of INGOs. We have here 25 UN agencies. We have here 50 embassies that would like very much to do development. We have here NGOs, national NGOs. So many development players in Myanmar that you cannot even imagine. You know, the challenge is, how do you do a difference? Because so many people are coming here with so many organizations. And you know, Israel, and the people from the Seed Israel know that so well. Israel is not a big contributor or donor of the foreign aid. We are still having our conflicts, and now we have the corona, COVID-19. So we are not putting a lot of our taxation or taxpayers' money into the foreign aid. So we have a challenge of a competition, big competition with countries like Japan, JICA, Mashav Japan, like Thailand, like Singapore, like Korea, like the United States with the USAID, like the Germans with the GIZ, so many other countries that are coming here with the big money. So we need to find our niches. And the Israeli have a niche. We have a niche about so many things because of the best technology, startup nation. So we have a very good niches. But as I told you, the fight, it's really a fight between organizations because so many people would like to do so many things here. Now, my embassy is not just an embassy of Mashav, it's an embassy of economic affairs as well. We would like very much to see all the time that Mashav, like the international development and the trade, are helping each other. Because we are here, of course, as an embassy to help Israeli interests and Israeli business and Israeli markets and Israeli companies, and also Israeli NGOs and INGOs and Israeli efforts like the efforts of Seed Israel and all its members, and the efforts of the universities, like we have from time to time in many places regarding disasters, human disasters and natural disasters. So we are having here a big competition. We try as the Embassy of Israel in Myanmar, stationed in Yangon, to try to coordinate it. We do not work just with Mashav. My embassy does not work just with Mashav. But maybe I'm not an example because some other ambassadors are going to tell you something else. But don't take me as a president here. Take me as Ronen. I like to do coordination all the time and to help everybody. Like I'm helping all the companies of Israel coming to Myanmar, I cannot put my cold shoulder to a company A company is coming here, I'm here to help them. If an Israeli NGO is coming here, I'm here to help them. But they need also to know where they are. So if they wish, they come to see me, they come to see us, and they understand what is all about here in Myanmar, because we have the experience. If they know better, they can do better. So it depends on them. I'm going to just sum up here,
Okay.
to say to you that, of course, that Israeli efforts in development in Myanmar and other countries in Southeast Asia, Africa, and so on are very, very important, very interesting, and I'm at your disposal if you wish to have another chat with me in the course. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Ronen. I think that you mentioned exactly what we are interested in and the goal of our program. We have a lot of things to do, and we know what we want to do, but in the program, we try to focus on the how to do it right in a way that will enable to take the good, new, innovative technology and knowledge exist in Israel and apply it in the right way so it will be sustainable. So of course, we would love very much to speak with you in the future and see how we can collaborate. Dana, I don't know if Ronen is already here.
Ron Ifer did not,
So let's
is not on board yet.
Let's move, and when Ronen comes, when Ron Ifer comes, we'll speak with them. So I would like to present now and thank you very much for joining us, the director of Aguzu Shalom Village in Rwanda. And please tell us your name because you will not recognize it if I say it.
Thank you so much. My name is Jean-Claude Mulikimfura. Mulikimfura in my language means following the noble or following the older or the elder. So it's a great honor to be with you on this call today. I've had the privilege of coming to Israel twice since I've joined Agahozo Shalom. I came once when I first joined the village in 2011, and I was back in 2019 thanks to SID Israel, and when I was coming to receive an award here in Israel. So it was such an honor and a blessing for me. I want to quickly say that Agahozo means drying tears in Kinyarwanda, in my language. And this village was built as a response to the genocide against the Tutsi 26 years ago. So upon hearing about the story of the genocide, Anne Heyman, the founder, who was part of young Judea as a teenager, one of the songs that she loved the most is, I think Professor Ronen, you just mentioned it, "You and I Will Change the World." And so as she grew up—
We will develop it into our hymn later on. The hymn of the group will be "You and Me Will Change the World."
Absolutely. And I wish every student to come to Rwanda because we have a mural that says exactly that. You and me will change the world. So, the whole, and I think the essence of this came from the notion that there are amazing values of Tikkun Olam, Jewish values that the world should know about. And I think that was the challenge she gave herself, to say the world needs to know what is Tikkun Olam, and what a better way to give it to an entity that is not necessarily connected to Israel. However, this entity that is Rwanda has a bit of the same sad story of having the people of Rwanda and Jews having suffered terrible consequences, a terrible genocide or Holocaust. And so this is what Agahozo Shalom was founded upon, with the goal to try to recreate the next best possible community or space where a child could find himself as a replacement of their own parents, where children can, where the community can be parenting, can parent young, vulnerable kids. And so this is the village we have that was founded about 12 years ago, and today has cared for more than 1,500 young women and men, 62% women and 38% males. Now, I don't want to dwell too much on exactly what the village has done, but what I want to talk about quickly is in order for Anne, or for Anne, the founder of Agahozo Shalom, and her board, and all of the staff to be successful to where this village is, I feel that number one, and within that topic of or the discussion of how can the international development sort of help sustainable development for in developing countries, or how can development partners support developing countries. Number one, we need to study and understand what is the leadership and governance like. You know, what is the policy framework of this country? What is the country's vision? And then once you sort of look at those two areas, how do you sort of align the development partners' goals to the countries or the nation's development goals? How do we make those alignments? And here, I would say, let me give an example of Rwanda adopting an organization such as Agahozo Shalom. It was not only fitting within the education policy, but also it was also a cultural fit, bringing those values. Those are values that we wanted to recreate as a nation, building a country. The notion of tikkun olam, the notion of giving back, or the notion of paying it forward, is a notion that was deeply rooted in ancient tradition Rwanda that we needed to bring back. Because Africa, as many countries, as you would know, has suffered from colonization and divisionism. And what we needed to do in Rwanda was to bring back people together, to work together, to learn to live together. We might not love each other, but we can work together. And with the process of working together, we can start to respect one another, and ultimately to learn to like each other in the end. And I think Agahozo Shalom coming here to Rwanda was really aiming to find a way to take the most vulnerable people, put them into a space for 4 years, helping them to transform one another so that they are fitting into an ecosystem that is meant to be a world of change, a world of innovation, a world of building the private sector, and having people with a mindset that they are no longer dependent on people continually giving them, but they had to be part of people who would start to give. And giving is not necessarily giving with money, but we are giving with ideas. We are giving with our hands. We are giving in multiple ways. And so again, Agahozo Shalom benefited, was sort of, I would say, like gloves and hands coming together. With Agahozo Shalom, we have established great partnership. I think I don't want to say it in a way that might be pretentious, but reviving even some of the relations with Israel. I mean, there is a new embassy. Israel, the state of Israel has opened an embassy in this country. There is more partnership with Mashav. I think you mentioned what it was. The foreign ministries are working together, and so this whole. I think there is so many intertwined components that make this huge the whole. Concept of development much bigger and much better. And what I can say to students, it's about being innovative and being creative, and most importantly, understanding the context of the place where you are going. You cannot come and just give without understanding who you are giving to, who are the people you are giving to, and how are you willing to be an equal partner. Not one side saying, I have the knowledge, you shut up and learn from me, but you understand what is their context and how can I contribute to bettering that situation. For us, the most important thing, Africa is I would say is a continent that is rich in resources, and often, if not most of the time, we have misused our resources, and our primary focus is now the human resources, and how do we leverage the resources that we have and add value to it so we can develop like any other country. My country, just like my neighbor, the DRC, back in 1960, were at the same level with Singapore. Singapore today is a first world country. We are still a third world country or developing nations. So probably I'll stop for now. And thank you.
So I'm so happy that you were able to join us today. And what you mentioned is exactly the reason why I developed this program, because I believe that cultural, psychological, human components are the critical issues while relating to how to create change, how to guide the change. And hopefully together, and my belief is that with nothing to teach others, we can teach together in how to do it in the right way. And people we work with need to teach us what is important for them and what they need in order for us to take, and based on our theories and skills, we will tailor what needed for this country. So thank you very much, and I'm sure we will continue talking about it. And I think that it is the time to ask Noah Partu from the Emerging Markets and Financial Institution in the Department of Foreign Trade Administration in the Ministry of Economy to join us. We had a very interesting talk, and I already told Noah that I want her to come and present more to our students, and we will do it more in the future. So very short time, Noah, but the floor is yours.
Thank you very, very much. And I'm very honored and happy to be part of this respected forum of speakers and among people who really want to change the world. I think the fact that you are that you initiated this degree just shows how much we as Israelis have developed in a way that we want to be a part. We want to be an active part in the development world. And this is not something that we could say a few years ago. I want to share, before I go on, to share one of my happiest moments in Butajira in Ethiopia. When I went to visit one of our sites, one of our project sites, and I had the chance to eat the spiciest pepper that I've ever had, grown by Ethiopian farmers with Israeli seeds and with Israeli drip systems. And I had to pretend it's not spicy, but it was very, very spicy. And it was such a happy moment because it was kind of a cosmos brought all the things that we aspired for 2 years with this project together. It was the accessibility of Israeli technology, together with the Ethiopian, the small farm holders in Ethiopia, and really see how this project is growing their fields and their economy, and it was really exciting. And I think this is pretty much the essence of what we do in our department. Our department manages the developing markets and the connection with the international financial institutions. We are part of a big administration called the Foreign Trade Administration that promotes Israeli export. We have 45 official offices around the world of people who are helping Israeli companies and organizations export their knowledge and skills and the products. It's really interesting that more than 50%
Noah, you disappeared. I don't know.
of these offices are in. Hello?
Do you hear Noah? Because I can't hear her anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Now I
Yes, we can hear you.
So I was saying that more than 50% of our official offices are in developing countries, in Brazil, in East Asia, in Africa, and it's really interesting to see how these places have the needs that we had less than 50 years ago. Israel was a developed country. We were supported by the World Bank. One of the things that the World Bank contributed to Israel was constructing of the Ayalon Road and assistance with building the Israeli Innovation Authority. So from being a country that is developed to becoming a country that contributes and donates to the World Bank and the other financial institutions, this is a major chance for us as Israelis. And this is in countries coming from a place of personal experience with all these different challenges. And this is exactly what we do. Try to create a connection between the knowledge and the skills and the products, and basically the Israeli organizations and companies, to the developing countries. And there are many challenges along the way. Some of them were already mentioned. And this is exactly why we are there in the field. And on the other element, we make great efforts with the international financial institutions, the World Bank, the IDB, and other institutions that we are Israelis part of, to access Israeli professionals working in these institutions and contributing from their knowledge within the organization, as well as establishing specific funds for fields that Israel is strong at. So we constantly try to stay updated with the needs of the markets and the Israeli skills that we can access, like water, agriculture, cyber, digital, health, and many, many more. And it's a great challenge, especially building the coalitions within the Israeli government itself to create a strategy that is united to working in those developing markets and really becoming a meaningful player in the development world and contributing to the SDGs while promoting the Israeli trade that we care so much about and the Israeli economy. So that's in general what we spend most of our time doing. Are interested specifically in those type of activities, and I think it's really, really positive to see this new generation coming in.
So thank you very much, Noah, and thank you everyone for keeping the time, because I was stressed knowing that I need to cut you all when we want to hear so much more about it, but in the future we'll have time, so I really appreciate it, and we will have time, and I see that Ron Eifer join us, and thank you for making the time, both for talking with me a few days ago and for coming and joining us now. Ron Eifer is a Senior Director of Economy and Infrastructure at the Israeli Prime Minister's office. And I think some of you know him. And I know that I would like to know much more about him and from him. So Ron, please share with us.
Hi, thank you for having me. I will be very short in what I have to say. Basically, let me introduce myself first. I work for the Director General of the Prime Minister's Office as an economic advisor. And among other stuff that I do, I'm also coordinating the interministerial committee that was created 2 years ago by the government of Israel to promote the issue of development or the Israeli activity in developing countries. The committee is working for 2 years already and is developing a strategy for the government of Israel how to increase its activity in those countries. And we work with all the relevant Israeli ministries that are part of the committee. So NOAA is obviously an important role, has an important role in the committee as representing the Ministry of Economy, but we have representatives from other different ministries such as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Innovation Authority, the Ministry of Health, Agriculture, and so on. And the work that the Intergovernmental Committee is doing will be released soon for the public to see and give comments to. So I will make sure that I send it to Tammy and she will forward it to everyone who is interested, and we will be very much happy to receive any comments or remarks about the report. But I want to touch on one thing in the report, which is the role of academia in developing. We understood throughout the work we did that Israel is lacking or doesn't have enough attention or resources devoted to academic courses related to development or development studies. We understood that this is a failure point in all the value chain of Israeli companies and Israeli organizations that work in the developing world, because the academia is where ideas are sprouted, and if we don't have the basic of enough courses or enough faculty that is focused on development and development studies, we are in a problem to make a change. And hence, we need to put a lot of attention there. And I was very happy to see that the University of Tel Aviv is also joining this trend of opening courses that are focusing on development studies. I was happy to see that first from a personal point of view, because I was interested in that a few years ago when I was still a student, and I looked around the Israeli universities and I couldn't find any university that offer this kind of course. So I had to go abroad to study development studies. I did my course in the UK, but I'm happy to see that also Israel has to offer within Israel those kind of courses. And second, I'm happy because I do believe, and not just as a cliche, that this course and the students that will graduate from this program will have immediately could find themselves involved in key positions in the very fast-growing industry of development here in Israel. So, yeah, I'm very excited that this course will start very soon, and everything I could do to help the students or the course itself, I will be more than happy to do.
Thank you very much. We have here many faculties Ram and Adas, which are very major part of our program, and Yoram, and I saw Dror, and I don't think Yossi Shacham is here now, but many people in Tel Aviv University are involved for many years in developing countries. And I think the unique issue now is that we are going to put it as a very high prestige academic MA degree that's really based on theory, on the know-how to do, but do it in a critical thinking way of collaborate, research, and also training. And hopefully it will only be the start, because we do want to start with conference and seminars and training.
Tammy, we have Hallel with us.
I know. I didn't summarize. I just speak all the time. I know.
Sorry.
I saw him. It's okay. I'm not skipping his way, but Ron said some things that I thought was important to emphasize, because we're not just a new trend. We're not just something that someone thought there is. The program is based on very serious research, doing training, learning of very senior member of Tel Aviv University that have been working on it for a very long time. And the new thing is that we put it all together to combine research, project, theory learning, and skills. So all of you are invited to help and collaborate. And we have the dream, but it will first of all be an academic, high prestige dream, and then we will put all the rest in the training, because we don't teach that only things that are in the sky, but really in the earth, in the field, we need to touch it. And I didn't forget, Hallel, I saw you from the beginning. I just needed to say something. So Hallel Alnir, dealing with smart city. He's a consultant in the Housing and Urban Development Division at the Inter-American Development Bank. And I think it's very different and unique collaboration. And suddenly Hallel disappeared. Where are you?
I'm here.
Hallel, do you hear me?
Yes. Hi,
Okay.
Hi, Tammy, and hello, everyone, and congratulations to all of you who are involved in this exciting program, and thank you for this interesting conversation. So as Tammy presented, my name is Hallel Alnir. I am an urban planner specializing in international development, and in my current position as a smart city consultant at the Inter-American Development Bank, the IDB, I leverage innovative technologies to address urban challenges in Latin America and the Caribbean. And in my 4 minutes, I wanted to speak for those who are thinking about a career in the development field, which for me is the business of changing the world. And I want to encourage you to choose this path and share with you 3 main takeaways from my experience and perspectives, which are first, that the impact revolution is reshaping the aid industry and making it more appealing for young professionals. Second, that Israel, the startup nation, is the right place to be at today. And third, that the opportunities to develop professionally in the aid industry are increasing. So the aid industry is at a unique point in history where it is changing from an industry that was driven from good intentions and a charity mindset to measuring results. And this is what we call the impact revolution. And recent technology trends make it possible to reach the world's poor directly and get real-time information about what is working and what isn't. And it's becoming a more data-driven, result-oriented industry, which incorporates also what Tammy mentions, the behavioral science and human-centered design, and entails a new way of understanding poverty, hunger, disease, and other social illnesses. So it is a more sustainable philosophy of aid that empowers people by making measurable improvements in their lives and communities. And in this context, the creativity and expertise of the startup nation are becoming a great need for our work. As opposed to what you might think, developing countries have a unique opportunity to take advantage of present technologies. Paradoxically, as a consequence of the lack of adequate infrastructure, and leapfrog from non-existent or absolute infrastructures to smart ones. And today, many of our projects in Latin America incorporate the use of sensors, drones, big data analysis, and digitalization of systems, and we are constantly looking for new innovative ideas and solutions. Israeli innovation is not mentioned in water, agriculture, and information and communication technologies, among many others, present valuable solutions to the aid industry. And I think that the fact that this program is being taught in the heart of this vibrant ecosystem has a great added value for all of us in the industry. And this brings me to my last point, which is that if you are interested in promoting a positive impact in the world, today more than ever, there are many opportunities to develop professionally. If once we could only think about working in NGOs or government aid agencies, today the aid industry crowds money from corporations, Silicon Valley startups, super rich philanthropists, for-profit businesses, impact investors, and many small startups who are aiming to make money and do good at the same time. So there is a growing recognition among consumers, employers, and investors that businesses have an obligation to serve not just their shareholders, but their customers, employees, communities, and the environment. And I believe that the impact revolution is a peaceful movement which is as world-changing as the tech or industrial revolution, but this time with the mission to improve lives, reduce inequality, and improve the world. And it presents and will present, in my opinion, many new opportunities in which the skills and knowledge acquired in this program will surely be valuable. So my takeaway is that you should keep in mind that while the aid industry is changing by the impact revolution and technology trends, Israel is the right place to be in order to grasp and take part in these new emerging opportunities. And I'm available always if you have any question or if I can assist in any way. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Allel. We were hoping for our great friend and supporter, Professor Bhavani from Amrita University in India.
Tammy, we can't hear you.
Okay, I said that I was hoping Professor Bhavani, our great friend and support from Amrita University in India, to join us, but I don't see her, probably some problem with connection. She was supposed to. So I would like to ask Professor Adas Maman and Dr. Ram Fishman, the blood and flesh, the heart of our program, the people that without them I wouldn't be here in developing this program, to be able and answer some of your questions and relate to things. So you're welcome, Ram, please unmute yourself, and you're welcome to speak with the people and answer questions or say whatever you want.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, everybody. We'd be happy to answer any questions to the best of our ability.
Does anyone like to ask anything? Did we miss something in the way we presented today? If there is something you can't leave the program without knowing about.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. Yeah, I know a lot of the topic you are talking, developing countries. I'm working for many years with Mashab. I'm teaching at the Weizmann Institute since the time of Ra'anan Weizmann himself. I have many connections today with several African countries. I'm a co-founder of the Israeli Smart Cities, and they are coming to study for several days from Kenya, Uganda, and South Africa. I remember that in the beginning of the 70s, the Tel Aviv University began the Faculty of Developing Countries, but it was vanished and canceled very soon. My background is urban regeneration, town planning, public policy, law, and I can mention some more. Yeah, I think that it is a very challenging effort to develop contacts between Israel and different countries around the globe. I'm also invited from time to time to the Habitat conferences. And yeah, I hope that you will succeed in your program and something feasible will come out of this MA studies.
What do you mean you hope? We are going to succeed. It's not a hope. And that's maybe you will share since they don't want to ask.
Yes, I want to say something to Tzvi. Because for Tammy, hope is not a word. It will happen, and I think she broken every glass wall possible in the university to make this happen. So it will happen, right, Ram?
Also, you guys can see that there are questions in the chat. So, Michal.
But let Shira, just a second. Let Adas say 2 sentences about her work during the last few years.
No, I mean, okay, my work is on in trying to provide water that is affordable in different communities and also looking at sewage. But I actually want to talk about the program that is very unique because it has all the different disciplines. So it's all across disciplines, from psychology to engineering to basic science to social science. So it's all across, and I think that's what will make it very unique and special. And we will put our hearts and effort to try to think. And I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. I see that there are some questions about the program, and I will give you my mail and I will send you details because I think we won't have time to talk more, but Ram, would you like to say few sentences? Ram?
Sure. I think, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the one thing I want to emphasize about the program is that this is not going to be a theoretical program where we stand in front of students and tell them things that we read somewhere else. We don't believe in that model of education. I think a more accurate description of this program is that we are inviting students not to learn from us, but to learn with us. Anybody who claims that he has the answers to the problems of development, immediately I get very suspicious immediately. I think the field of sustainable development is a field of many big questions and very few answers. And in my experience, people who too strongly believe a particular answer are usually based on an ideology or personal experience, which is limited rather than real knowledge or having real answers, because nobody really has the big answers to these big questions. So I want to tell the students we are inviting not to learn from us, but to learn with us. what we have to offer you are not answers to the big questions, but what we have to offer you is an experience that we have about how to learn, how to do research, how to help answer these questions. And that's a very important difference. If you want to come to a program where somebody will dictate to you some kinds of clear answers to the big questions, are not real anyway. This program is meant for those who want to learn with us and discovers answers for themselves by trying, often maybe not failing, but trying. It's designed to have a very strong component of learning by doing. Even during the first 2 semesters which you'll spend in Israel, you'll be learning by doing, learning from the experiences of other organizations or individuals or companies that have been attempting and experimenting in this field. And then once after these 2 semesters, you'll spend at least 1 semester working these things out in the field, in real life. And that is very unique. So in that way, I don't think there are many comparable programs anywhere in the world, certainly not in Israel. So we emphasize very much the capacity of doing research. And this is very important in the Israeli context particularly. Because in Israel, we have a situation in which, Israel is very famous for efficient irrigation, and one of the most famous mottos of Netafim, the Israeli irrigation company, is, I think, growing more out how Israel can contribute to the global challenge of sustainable development, because Israel, in that regard, we have to do more with less. Less is because as a country, let's admit it, and I think everybody here will agree with me, including Ron and our friends from SID, that we all lament the fact that Israel as a country, in terms of financial resources, is not standing up to the international standard of financial contributions to international sustainable development. But on the other hand, everybody feels that there is a tremendous potential for Israel to contribute with the human resources it has, with its own experience, its own technological and institutional experience. So with very little, we can do a lot. With very little in terms of financial resources, we as a country can do a lot. But to be able to do that, we need to be very precise. We need to really develop the right models that drip irrigation of international development, whereby we can have a large impact with very few resources, very few financial resources, but with a lot of intellectual resources. And this is, I think, also why academia has such an important role to play in Israel in the development agenda. I'm sorry if it's okay if you miss some sentences here and there, I'll just keep going in the interest of time. So I think the government, as well as the friends in SID and all the member organizations, are doing very, very hard and amazing work. I think that academia has a very important role to play in complementing these efforts. When I was still a graduate student at Columbia University, my advisor was a famous economist in development. His name is Jeff Sachs. And at one point, I felt all this thing we are learning is not very useful. And I was considering leaving the program and joining it. And I had a long conversation with him about it. And he told me that there are so many people out there in organizations that have an enormous amounts of energy and effort of putting into this agenda, but often there is an absence that it's lacking in a careful and deep understanding of the nature of these challenges. And that is why doing it from within academia is so important in order to strengthen the quest for sustainable development. And it took me some time to see that, but now I see that very clearly, and I think it's even more true in the Israeli context. And this is the way we designed the program, to help all of you who are working on this agenda through the the process of learning and research and understanding in order that the few resources that we are devoting to this in Israel are really targeted in the most efficient way to have a disproportionate impact. Just like drip irrigation, every one drop of our resources should have the greatest impact on the growth of this plant, the development plan.
So thank you very much, Ram.
This is how we have designed
Okay. We already have some
the program. So it's a program for people who want to learn with us, not from us, and are entrepreneurs in their spirit.
Thank you, Ram. We already have some collaboration and work offer in Rwanda, and we will certainly work on it, and I will correspond with you privately and see what we can do together. I think Ram and Adas and all my other faculties here give the answers. The program is a 1 day a week in very intensive learning for 2 semesters at Tel Aviv University, where we teach the challenges, the crises, the problems. On the one hand, we teach the important economical, low, sustainable development needs. We teach the process of how we can make changes, but from the first semester, we start working together on as a groups on observing and charting and looking at challenges in Israel and meet our partners in the field and see what are the challenges and what we can do with it. And already in the second semester, try to look for solution, initiative, project to find out how we can deal with these challenges. And these are the part that Ram mentioned, that we don't give you the answer. We look and search and try to invent and develop things together. We do hope that the corona will enable us to spend the third semester in developing countries. We prefer being in a place where a group of students can be hosted by the university, and then we can apply field project and field research there. But there will also be some centers in Israel that I'm working on right now with Adas and Ram for those who can't go to developing countries, or if we will not be able to go, to do some work here. The rector of the university asked me last week, how come I'm going to a developing countries and why all of us are so excited about it, both faculties and students, because he didn't see such enthusiasm for a long time. Don't we have enough problems in Israel? Really, I couldn't answer him. I told him that there are many projects I'm conducting in Israel with all kinds of population, but there is something very unique in our wish to help the world and use our knowledge, our theory, but our collaboration and training together to apply change. So you're all welcome to ask questions if you want. My email is Tel Aviv University email. Shira, can you put it on the chat so people can see? It's Tamie, T-A-M-I-E, at T-A-U-E-X, Tel Aviv University, .tau.ac.il. I will be very happy to answer everyone who wish to ask something or add something, and we will have more opportunity because we just want to show, to see this event of today as a launching that very exciting, and we're very honored that Seed Israel decided to do it for us and with us, but we would like to look at it as a start. as something we will all collaborate in conducting and doing in the future by all kinds of activities that our MA program will only be part of it. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, for doing such a great work, for contributing. There are so many people here that I would like to speak with more and hear more, and we will do it in the future. We are always available for talk, for writing, for emails, and we will see you all in other Zoom session and hopefully in vivo learning at our beautiful campus in Tel Aviv. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Alon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And let's have a wonderful time all together, and we'll see you soon. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Bye-bye.